Hey everyone, I'm Gabe Gurwin. I'm joined by Dean Thompson. You're watching GamingAngelGabriel, and this is what we saw. So actually, what you'll probably notice first is that new theme song that's written by Greg King, a friend of the show who was very gracious enough to write that for me. I needed something. I wanted something to open it up. So if you're new to the show, this is basically an aggregate. We say this all the time. We basically take news stories from the gaming industry all across the web, compile them together, and give you our thoughts on them and how they relate to the industry. So it is a huge, huge week for video games. We have 3 games. Last week we didn't do a show. I was a little too busy. So we have 3 very, very big releases that we're going to be covering in addition to some other things. So we're going to start off with the reviews coming in for Need for Speed Most Wanted. This is developed by Criterion, published by EA, and it's actually the second game featuring the Most Wanted subtitle, of course. They actually added a Criterion game to it to make it a little less confusing, I guess. But basically, the game has been scoring very well. I think it's tied right now, the 360 version at least, with Forza Horizon. And I have a review here from IGN. I think they rated it a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they did. They said, your next most wanted game. Clever. And from previews, I was actually kind of digging this, but some of the pluses they said, gorgeous visuals, impeccable production values, great handling, thrilling, and then the one negative they said was a lack of structure. Now, I don't know, I'm guessing they mean maybe it's a little too open.
Yeah, there's really nothing that kind of guides you towards how to do the races. In fact, I was really kind of fumbling around for at least a couple of hours until I kind of by accident stumbled onto a couple of things on how to do it. There's really nothing to even show you the controls. Extremely brief tutorial in the at the start of the game. I put about maybe 3 hours into it the first night and picked up 6 or 7 achievements, but I got so enthralled with Forza Horizon, I kind of went back to that. In fact, I completed the championship and got almost 900 achievement points in that so far.
Yeah, from the previews I saw at E3, I actually really dug it. I really liked the way the cars looked, and some of the environments I saw. I was watching gameplay. Maybe you posted it, I'm not sure, but oh no, I know who it was. It was Tobuscus on YouTube. I was watching his playthrough of it, and some of the tunnels looked so real. I wasn't sure if it was if I wasn't sure that I was watching his show, I think that it was lifelike. So Need for Speed Most Wanted. I know, like I said, right now it's tied among critics with Forza Horizon. Which would you say you've enjoyed more so far?
The Forza Horizon, I think, is hands down probably a much better game, and I think the reviews are actually probably about a point higher. They're mostly 9.5s on Horizon and 8.5s to 9s on Most Wanted. They're both really highly rated games. They're both very different. It's like kind of trying to compare Taco Bell and probably McDonald's. I mean, it's the same. They're both fast food, but it's a whole different animal. The production values are exceptional. The sound design and the beautiful lighting on the cars and the environments and the wet roads, especially in Most Wanted, is really it's quite good. It's extremely polished over the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which was also done by Criterion. It has some annoying rubber band issues. The cops are just relentless. In fact, there's a really good review of it that was on, I think it was on, I believe, Machinima.
Yeah.
And I think they still gave it an 8.5, but he definitely nailed down the cons, exact same cons that I had.
The cops, I think I saw that review, yeah.
The cops are just brutal in it. In fact, I tried for like 20 minutes to get away from them, and then finally I hit a roadblock, and before I could turn around, I was busted. But it's still a fun game. It's just one of those things where you have to kind of get the lay of the land and know where all the shortcuts and the little hidden areas are.
Right.
But it's pretty cool. You drive around, you can find any of these cool cars. If you turn the audio down on the music and shut the music off, there's a little audio cue when you get close to a car, and then you can just switch cars. You jump into it, now you're driving a Corvette or a Porsche or Ferrari or whatever, and you can take off. Actually, I don't think there are Ferraris in it. I believe it's just Lamborghinis. I think Ferrari doesn't have a license in it, but everything looks great. It's a fantastic production quality. The sound design as you're railing through a tunnel at 150 is incredible. It sounds really authentic. The handling for an arcade-type game is quite good. but the races are just tough. I mean, you make one mistake, just clip a phone pole or sideswipe or guardrail a little too much, and then they shoot past you, and it seems like it's almost impossible to catch up. So the frustration factor on that game is very unforgiving, where Horizon actually rewards you for driving good with intelligence and everything. But they're both good games. It's like comparing apples and oranges. They're both fruit, but there is a difference.
Yeah. So, speaking of what you mentioned, crashes, I've heard some people say that Most Wanted, this one, is kind of like a mix between traditional Need for Speed and Burnout. How much do those crashes impact it, or are people overblowing that?
They're overblowing immediately, everyone, because they think of Criterion. And, of course, the driving fanatics, all love the Criterion's Burnout Paradise. It's one of my favorite games as well. The problem is because of the licensed cars, they've toned the crashes way down. On Burnout Paradise, they had these over-the-top cars careening and crashing and tumbling. And
you mean like they don't want to show it exploding into a zillion pieces?
Chevrolet doesn't want to see one of their brand new Z51 Vets completely falling apart. So it still looks pretty good. It's very gritty. It's going to make you gnash your teeth. I probably even chipped a filling. I think I was gnashing my teeth so hard on one of them. But it's very well done. It's a great game. Nonetheless, there are some similarities. Burnout Paradise had these wonderful billboards that were hidden, and you had to try to find a way to jump through them. If you jump through and get the highest score for the longest jump and speed, then your face or avatar is actually on that billboard. So even though you're not playing online in a multiplayer capacity, you still have a constant challenge. I got a friend in New York, and every time I go around a corner, there's this mug on the billboard, and it beckons you to crash through it, to take the SOB down so you can put your face up there. So it's a very addictive game. It's very well done. It's very creative. But it's different from Burnout Paradise. The city's not quite as big. You have barricades to crash through and billboards. But it's actually much more akin to the Hot Pursuit game that Criterion did a year or so ago. It's very much like that. The control is closer to that than Burnout Paradise. And the cops are about as relentless as that. The only difference is you can't play as the cops in this where you could in Hot Pursuit.
Yeah, that's interesting. I heard a lot of people kind of talk about some of the stuff you say, and I saw like a really, really intense crash where the car was still in one piece. So I guess maybe that's part of what you're talking about. Now, the second thing we're going to move on to is kind of two different reviews, I guess, but it's sort of one. And that's Assassin's Creed 3. Now, this got released last week on October 30th. I have never seen so many copies of one game, including the next game we're going to talk about, in one GameStop at once when I went in there. I pre-ordered both Assassin's Creed 3 and the Vita version. I'll tell you more about what I think about them in our feature. But this game, I think it scored a little bit lower than people anticipated. I'll go into that why here in a second. Metacritic right now has it at an 85, and I have two reviews up here. One of them is a little more positive than the other. I think that's what I did. So, yeah, first here we have The Escapist, and
always a favorite.
yeah, and it's kind of funny because there's a connection between the two different sites I have here, and this is The Escapist, and they gave it a perfect score, 5 out of 5. And,
well, it's impressive from them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they vary a lot, kind of like Destructoid, which I'll talk about in a second. Yes. But their bottom line for it, they say, Assassin's Creed 3 lets you jump into an intriguing point in history, and it succeeds on nearly every level with nimble combat, fun diversions, and the chance to captain your own ship. Connor might not be an altogether likable hero, but the new world he's fighting to protect is one you won't forget. Okay, so like I said, that upped the average quite a bit at an 100. Now, Destructoid rated the game lower. They rated it at a 7.5, and they said, when it comes down to it, cohesion or lack thereof is the main issue with Assassin's Creed 3. There are dozens of secondary elements which make up the main content of the game, but they offer little in terms of reward and rarely contribute anything to the Assassin-Templar conflict. While the game is often quite fun, beautiful to look at, and empowering to the player, it doesn't offer much challenge beyond the endurance necessary to complete all of the single-player campaign elements. That said,
that's quite a contrast.
Yeah. Now, they gave it a 7.5, which isn't that low, and especially for Destructoid, it's not a Jim Sterling review, but for Destructoid, they tend to be in the extremes, high and low.
Yes, I think so, too.
Now, I will validate points on both of them. I'd give the game about a 9. I'd say my favorite in the series is still Brotherhood. The only one I haven't played is 2. But Brotherhood, I think, is still my favorite. Revelations is pretty much Brotherhood, plus a few things they added that didn't work very well. And then I think this game is better than Revelations, though. It's the main problems I had with it, and I will talk about pros, because I do like the game quite a bit. The main problems I have with it were mostly from the technical side. There's some frame rate drops. There's quite a bit of pop-in. Characters, sometimes it's the opposite. You'll see characters disappear in front of you. Which is quite strange. And then the other issue, which I kind of validate from Destructoid, is there is just a ton to do, and some of it, it's fun, but it almost doesn't feel necessary. Like the assassin recruiting system that was in Brotherhood was very, very essential, because there are a lot more closed corridors in that game where you'd be getting stuck, and you could have these assassins come in, and it was a really big part of it. This... if you don't actively go out and try to do that, you'll forget. I have one assassin right now, and I was working on getting some more before I moved on to the next game we're going to be talking about, and it just wasn't quite as. I guess because it's not as new, it's not as entertaining, but it just wasn't quite as exciting. Now, some of the pros I have: the combat with Connor and the animations are spot on. Faces and cutscenes are a big improvement over the last game. The story is excellent. It is a very, very slow starter, though. This game will take about 4 or 5 hours to really get into.
I heard about 4 hours until it really winds up, and then you're right on the edge of your seat.
Right, and it stays there, to give it credit, but it basically takes about the first 3 to 3.5 hours you're playing as Connor's dad. I think his name's Hatham Kenway. And then for about the next hour or so, you play as a young Connor, moving to a teenager. It takes a very long time to actually get your assassin hood and some of your gear. Once you get it, though, it's amazing. And the best thing about this game is that the set pieces in it are done very, very well. I've been playing with a few different levels I found to be really, really well done. The first is obviously this game takes place in the Revolutionary War and before it. And although it was a little bit far-fetched, you do the Battle of Lexington Concord, where basically...
I used to live by there, actually.
Oh, really?
In South Lancaster, Mass. You're very close to there.
Basically, it shows, them running away at Lexington. They're sprinting through. You see all these people in a panic, and then you get to Concord, and the general there, I can't remember who it was, but he tells you, order my men when to fire. You have to kind of, suspension of disbelief, because, how would Connor know how to order men when to fire? But it's very, very fun. Basically, you ride around on a horse. There's 3 different groups of your soldiers, and as the British move up, you have to order them to fire right at the right time so that they hit them, but don't let them fire back. So that's very fun. And then I think the best part of the game so far, and obviously these battles happen, so I'm not spoiling anything story-wise, but the Battle of Bunker Hill with Israel Putnam and his line, of course, he has the line, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. That comes into play. It's very, very entertaining, very, very difficult.
Sounds good. I might have to pick it up. I kind of wish I had pre-ordered it now, but I've been so inundated as it is with games. So.
It's excellent. It's just... it is a very slow starter. There's some elements that don't feel like they really need to be there. And there's actually a lot more weapons. In every preview, they showed Connor using his tomahawk. So I thought that would replace the sword. Well, at one point, I killed a British soldier, and he had a sword on the ground, and it let me pick it up, and I sheathed it, and I've had that for the rest of the game. So
cool.
That was really, really interesting. The story with Connor, I think... It's different because as far as wanting him to be successful, you feel more for him than you do for Ezio in the last game. On the other hand, Ezio is kind of a more entertaining guy. Connor is very, very down to business, kind of like Altair was, but without the arrogance. So he's a little more likable, but Ezio kind of cracked jokes and stuff, so I think he was still probably my favorite character to play as. On the other hand, the Desmond stuff is... Oh, it's so bad. I'm glad there's only a couple sections of them because even though Nolan North is a great voice actor and he does a really great job, and the story is interesting, it's just the sections where you're playing feel very clunky. They take away all of the HUD elements that make the stuff you're doing in the Animus work, and it's very, very frustrating. I don't I don't really know what they were thinking with some of the design choices they did during that part. The exception to this is the first time you play as Desmond, you're doing a platforming section, which is very, very fun. You're outside New York
From the
City.
high rises or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
yeah.
I saw the scenes from that.
And even though the draw distance in the Animus isn't all that impressive, the draw distance in this scene is amazing. You can see the entire city. It's very, very cool.
Oh, excellent.
So the other game that came out on the same day from Ubisoft was Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation on the PS Vita. Now, this game only has about a 70 on Metacritic. I didn't pull up any scores because I wanted to talk about it myself, but I think it deserves that. You know, it's a good game. There are some things that work. The platforming, or not platforming, you know, the free running in it is very, very entertaining. But the combat in it is clunky. The story is kind of phoned in, and there's an element in it because you're playing as a female in this game. She's half black, half French, living in New Orleans. One element they have are these things called personas. It's basically you have the choice between playing as a slave, as a lady, or as the assassin undisguised.
Oh, fascinating.
It is, and some elements of it are cool. You have different abilities. So you can, like, if you're the lady, you can charm guards away. It's kind of dumb, because a guard will be, like, ready to stab you, but if you hit charm, he'll just, like, follow you lovingly anywhere you go, and you can stab him. There's slave, where she's basically like the assassin, but she doesn't have quite as much gear, and then there's the assassin. Now, the issue is that each one of these gets notoriety separate from each other, and there's different ways to take care of it. I think for I can't remember which one, but for one of them you have to take down posters, and for the other one you have to kill witnesses. And then for the assassin, I can't remember what you have to do, but basically what happens is you have to switch between each persona all the time so that you can take care of the notoriety for the other persona. Because if you're trying to do it while you're that same persona, you're always going to get spotted and end up raising your notoriety higher. So,
interesting.
But the good thing to say is, even though some of the design choices are a little odd, as an Assassin's Creed game, it plays excellently. There are a few little Vita things they added in that they didn't really need to. Pickpocketing is done by, like, rubbing your finger on the back of the touchscreen, and it's really finicky. It took me a while to figure it out. What else? Oh, there's a segment where I don't know why they did this, but you have to there's like a letter that you have to open, and to do it you have to put one finger on the touchscreen and one finger on the back touchpad and drag it along the length of the PS Vita, and that opens the letter. I heard someone say there's also a part where you have to, like, see a letter completely. You have to hold it up to a bright light, which was actually present in Uncharted Golden Abyss, and I thought that was really cool. So, yeah, if you really like Assassin's Creed, you'll have some fun with it, but unfortunately, it's not that killer app that Sony and Ubisoft obviously thought it would be for the PS Vita. I really am kind of disappointed that the game went the route of kind of going a little bit gimmicky with the PS Vita, because I think they should have known this was going to be the game for hardcore gamers. What looks like it has a chance of doing that now for the Vita may be Killzone Mercenary. I think it's coming out sometime next year, developed by the same team that did the console Killzone games, and looks far superior to any first-person shooter that we've seen.
I think it's one of their premier exclusives, so I'm sure they're going to probably put a little bit more R&D in that one.
Yeah, I hope so, because like we said, with Nihilistic's Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, it doesn't look all that special. So, yeah, Assassin's Creed 3 definitely still in the running for Game of the Year, which we'll talk about later, but maybe not the universal acclaim that Ubisoft was hoping for.
I actually had one question. Is there a series of bugs or, I guess, glitches that are in Assassin's Creed 3? I did see on, I think, Review Zone HD, he did a series of footage on it, and he had one video in particular that had a variety of bugs and glitches that he pointed out. He wasn't trying to make a big issue out of it, but he just wanted, I guess, the gamers to be aware that there were a few strange clipping issues or strange bugs.
Yeah, there are quite a few, actually. None of them are all that big a deal. One of them had me laughing. Basically, I was going into a bar, and there was a patron in there. I think he was trying to walk away, but for some reason he was standing on his stool, and it made it look like he was doing, like, an Irish river stomp dance.
I've actually seen that in a bar before.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sure they were supposed to be doing it, though.
I'm just kidding, but...
So there was that. There were some weird issues with, like, shadows and cloths moving through people and clipping during cutscenes, like big cutscenes where they should have noticed it.
Oh,
And
man, that's terrible if
and
if that's in
AI,
there. But I guess a game that's as extensive as that is, with that many dynamics going on screen, is bound to have a couple. It's kind of a give or take.
yeah. But
It's probably bound to have a few bugs because of that, because it is so large and open world.
And the other thing, AI is completely brain dead on both sides, especially the Allied side. Paul Revere is an idiot. I don't even. There's the Midnight Ride. This isn't spoiling anything. I'm just talking about big parts of the history of the American Revolution. You're riding with him, and your horse doesn't want to go in water because it's too deep. So I didn't realize that you weren't supposed to get out. You were supposed to find a different way around. So I jumped out and started swimming across. Paul Revere falls into the water and immediately dies.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm like, oh my gosh. So, yeah, there are some bugs. Like I said, most of the problems are from a technical sense, but none of them are game-breaking. They're just, some of them are kind of annoying. And I had one where, I don't even know if it was a bug or just some weird glitch, but the general stores are way less common than they were in the past games. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to find this kind of trade card so I can get some arrows, because I went through like half of the game without any arrows from my bow. And I saw the waypoint, and I ran to it, and there was no one there. So the thing ended up being like 100 meters away from where it said it was supposed to be, which I thought was interesting and strange. So, yeah, that's Assassin's Creed 3 for you. Now, speaking of 4, we're talking about my most anticipated game of the year. And this is my second favorite franchise, and of course I'm talking about Halo 4. Mm-hmm. So, ever since the end of Reach, I've been wondering kind of what they're going to do. I didn't know if I really expected Halo 4 because they wrapped everything up pretty nicely in Halo 3. But Halo 4, I just beat it today, and we'll talk more about this, has been getting good reviews. Again, not universal acclaim. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like critics are just being a little bit harder on games over the past few years. Not like a ton, but like Reach, for example, got a 91. Average for Halo 4 is an 87, and I'll go into it later. This is a better game than Reach. But, so Machinima, they rated it very, very highly. In fact,
I saw that.
They couldn't have rated it any higher. They gave it a 10 out of 10. The pluses, they said, great expansion of the lore, absolutely true, amazing multiplayer, and the best-looking Halo to date. Now, this game is the best-looking game on the Xbox 360.
Oh, it's fantastic. None. The lighting alone is just unbelievable. I've actually watched probably an hour and a half of playthroughs on it already because I couldn't stop watching it, and it's gorgeous. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a more polished-looking game from a studio that hasn't really published anything. So
right.
I honestly take my hat off to them. It's another game that now I'm actually kind of savoring and wondering if I should go pick that one up too.
Well, you should, and I'll tell you more why later. But yeah, so they gave it a 10 out of 10. The only other game that 343 has put out was the HD remake of the first Halo, which came out last year for the anniversary.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, they put out that. And Frank O'Connor, he was formerly the content manager for Bungie, is the head of 343. So I wasn't really worried about that like some people seem to be. Mm-hmm. And then the other review I have from Game Informer, they went a little bit lower, still a good review, a 9.25. And for, they have the little box on the side that shows the entertainment and all that sort of stuff. A grand sci-fi adventure accompanied by fast fun and addictive multiplayer. Now, the one thing, I can't remember which review said this, but it might have been Destructoid. In fact, I think it was. But they mentioned that the weak point of this game was actually the music. And they didn't say it was bad, but it wasn't, up to par with what Marty O'Donnell had done before. And I do have to agree with that. There's nothing as standout as anything in the previous Halo games.
It's fairly serviceable, but it's not something that's going to go down in memory. Like Max Payne 3 had very memorable music, and it was just fantastic.
And if this had been the music they used in the other Halo games, people would say it's great. But because the music in those first 3 Halo games was just incredible, it's noticed. The only time I heard, and I just beat the game today, the only time I heard the main Halo theme was near the very end, and only very briefly. So I'm hoping for Halo 5 they bring back some more of the traditional tunes. They can keep moving forward with this really dark, brooding kind of music they went with in this to fit with the story. But there were some moments, especially near the end, these big, like, vast open shots where I'm thinking that would be a great place to hear the dun, 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 dun. And when you don't hear it, it's noticed, but the music isn't bad. It's just the legacy of what Marty O'Donnell had done.
I see.
So yeah, like I said, an 87 right now. You can't trust the user ratings actually because it got.
That seems low. I honestly thought, because I've seen at least 4 or 5 reviews on it. In fact, one of my friends reviewed it.
Yeah,
and it's got really high reviews.
You'll notice that
I
most
was shocked, frankly, it's down to an 87. But
yeah, it's well, part of that was this one. The dude must have had something crawl up his ass and died because he gave it a 1 out of 5. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone was bashing him for just being out of his mind. And I'm not going to call him stupid. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but. The consensus, that lowered it like a full 1.5. That one review did.
Exactly, and I think actually you had made a point a few minutes ago about it seems as though perhaps more today that reviewers are bagging on the games more than they ever have. Again, I don't know if it's because we're I think we've gluttonized on so many games and first-person shooters and driving games. It's easy to get stale and to get a little bit jaded on them to where nothing improved. It's like I don't think anyone's impressed anymore. So it's a shame when you see a polished gem like Halo 4 come out, or even Assassin's Creed 3, even with some of the little glitches and bugs. They're such outstanding games. If that game put it in a time machine came out 4 years ago, everyone would be bowing down.
Oh, yeah.
So
and Halo 4, I think, deserves about 7 or 8 points higher than it does. I will agree with the Assassin's Creed 3 because there are some real issues in it, but Halo 4, there really aren't. I'll go more into that a little bit later during our feature.
Sure.
But yeah, but as far as the user scores go, what I was going to say, you'll notice that there's only a few actual user-written reviews. Most of those, the reason why that score is so low is because some, forum somewhere said everyone give this game a 0, and like 1,000 people went on and gave it a 0. But it's been rising. So yeah, it seems to be pretty well received. Some people are a little bit worried that the multiplayer, it added in some Call of Duty elements like perks and whatnot, but it's still definitely a Halo game, and it has the best villain. I won't say who it is, but definitely the best villain of any Halo game I've played. He scares the crap out of you.
Oh, good. I like that.
Not in like
it sounds good, and frankly, the set pieces I've seen are just unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Looking into this one valley and you see this giant, I don't know if it's a city with a spaceship descending down upon it. It's just completely over the top. So
yeah, it's crazy. There's also a lot of people have mentioned also that this is like Cortana's story. I love Jen Taylor. I think she's the best voice actress in gaming.
Yes, very good.
But yeah, this is. But the other thing, Master Chief talks way more in this. He very rarely talks during missions in the other games. He's talking all the time. Cutscenes, he's talking almost as much as some of the other ones. And
it perhaps humanizes him. And frankly, the fact that you can look down and see your own feet makes it more human. The fact that when he moves, there's almost ambient sounds from his outfit. I think all of that really humanizes him. So I think that accompanied with the fact that he can talk now, and that you can actually hear more of what he has to say, just adds almost a human element to it. Where before he's almost like he's almost a robot or
right,
RoboCop or something.
I hope they don't move too much in that direction, because one thing they do with Halo is you want to feel like Master Chief, so they don't have him do a ton of stuff. His dialogue is, even though there's more of it, it tends to be short and a little more down to the point, kind of. But there's a lot of great characters in this. Dr. Halsey, who was in the books, and she was in a little bit of Reach. She's back, also voiced by Jen Taylor, because Cortana was created from the mind and personality, kind of Dr. Halsey. And she opens it up. I mentioned this on Facebook. This like speech she's giving to her interrogator is done so well. It's animated perfectly. The performance by Taylor is incredible. There's some other great characters like Commander Lasky. He's a great character who's definitely...
I saw, I've seen some of him too. It looks almost like L.A. Noire. It really has a very high-quality polish to it that I haven't seen, frankly, in a lot of newer games. So.
Yeah, the cutscenes are incredible, and he'll definitely be in some other ones. If you guys are interested, if you haven't seen it yet, the 5-part web series on Machinima Prime, Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn, is actually taking place from the perspective of Commander Lasky when he's a cadet joining the UNSC. Very, very well done. Like I said, game probably deserves 7 or 8 points higher than it got. And, yeah, I'm very excited for Halo 5. So now we're going to move on to something I'm not excited for. Let's segue a little bit. And that is that today, or a couple of days ago actually, Peter Molyneux's game or experiment, Curiosity, What's Inside the Cube, was released. Now, I've mentioned how I dislike Peter Molyneux before, but basically he said that this is going to be a life-changing secret, and that what's inside the cube will be worthy of national news. Now, him hyping his games up is not really why I dislike him so much. It's just that he was working for a company that had so few exclusive IPs, and he was hyping them up so much. But basically, the gist of Curiosity is that there's this cube, and there's little tiny cublets inside, and you tap away, and everyone's on the same server, so it keeps updating, and you see what progress other people have made. Now, there's a picture on Kotaku where I got this story from, where there's an expletive written up really, really big. I played my part. I think I wrote Fable sucks in really small letters. but yeah, basically, whenever you move on to the next layer, whenever the last cube in the previous layer is destroyed, and it'll keep revealing secrets to you, I guess. Whoever hits the last cube will be able to see this secret, and they'll have the choice to either tell the world or keep it to themselves, because it's this huge deal that's going to change humanity, because Peter Molyneux knows something like that. Yeah, and the servers have been absolute crap so far. I got on earlier. It's not updating. Now, more people apparently are playing than they thought that were going to, but it's it's kind of soothing, and the reason for that, it has this really good kind of ambient soundtrack that's really, really soothing. I enjoyed quite a bit, but it's just, I have a feeling, I made a joke that it's just going to be Peter giving you the finger when whoever gets the last one, and they'll have the choice to tell people, yeah, it was Peter giving me the finger. So yeah, Curiosity. Now, plus side to this, it's free right now on iOS. So if you have an iPhone, you can go get it for free. The downside is you'll be, wasting some space on your drive, and you'll be also wasting some time. But if you're interested in seeing what it's all about, my advice is probably wait a couple weeks until they're getting closer to the end, and then see what's happening. Because right now it's really boring, and
yeah, I think I'd rather go to a 6.5-hour insurance seminar.
Yeah,
than to sit through that.
It's a little bit. It was a little bit soothing. I was trying to fall asleep, and I was like tapping on the blocks, and I was trying to make little patterns and clearing areas. But then
It sounds like Myst. I don't know if you ever played that back in the day, but it had a lot of these wonderful little ambient water sounds and delightful little noises, and almost like wind chimes in the background. And it is nice to a certain degree, but that's only going to carry a game so far.
Well, the difference is that Myst is a good game. And
it is. In fact, I was enthralled. I would rate that as one of my top 10 favorite games of all time.
Yeah, and
it's hard to go back and play it now, but at the time it was the shit. It was awesome.
So I don't know why people are still listening to Molyneux. I think this might help.
It might bury him, yeah.
So next we're going to talk about something else on iOS, and this I'm actually more excited for than most hardcore gamers. Xbox Smartglass has been released for iOS devices. Now, I haven't had a chance to try this out yet, but if you don't know what Smartglass is, it's an app that they announced at E3, that Microsoft announced during their conference, that allows you to navigate menus and do some other stuff in some games by using your smartphone or a tablet as kind of a mouse pad. And some people were kind of like, oh, this is stupid. Why don't they focus on games? And I do hope they focus on IPs, but I thought this was very interesting. They're not giving you, some new thing with Kinect. They're saying, hey, you have that phone that's always sitting next to you. Take it out, and if you want to navigate something, you can do that. There will be info that you can get on Smartglass, I guess, if you're watching a movie on your Xbox, on Netflix, or on HBO Go, excuse me. They showed it with Game of Thrones. You could then look at Smartglass, and it'll automatically sync up with your Xbox and show you cast information and the history of what's happening during the episode automatically on your phone. So it's very, very sweet. Another thing I saw was, Madden. It showed you can draw plays if you want to do that in the middle of a game, and then it'll sync up and you can use them. So if that's your thing, Smartglass might be for you. I haven't seen very many impressions on it. It's kind of like it wasn't even released, but I thought more people would be excited for this.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about it, frankly, until you started talking about it. I think I did see one video on it and kind of skipped over because I wasn't sure what it was. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, how cool is that? You just have your cell phone out, and whatever you do on the touchscreen affects what's happening on the TV with two different devices. So maybe I think it's free. It should be free anyway to download on iOS, and it's something cool. It's something new that Microsoft's doing to try to show that they're the entertainment center of your living room, the Xbox.
I think that's where the next console's all going. It's going to be a one-stop shopping.
Now, I hope that doesn't undermine the importance of good games, and I think Microsoft, like we mentioned before, some guys from BioShock Infinite are now working on something for Microsoft, and hopefully it's new IP. Hopefully they understand that games are important. Now, moving on to something that I believe was an exclusive for the 360 a couple years ago with Too Human, Silicon Knights has been forced to recall and destroy all of its games that use the Unreal 3 license, or the engine, excuse me. And this is from Destructoid. Jim Sterling wrote this. Some of the games that are gonna have to be destroyed are Too Human, which should be destroyed, X-Men Destiny, The Sandman, The Box, Ritualist, and Siren and the Maelstrom. Now, I reviewed Too Human, and I gave it an okay review, I remember,
yeah.
But the one thing, like, looking back, it may have been the most, even though it was functional, it might have been the most boring game I've ever played. I was completely indifferent to everything that was happening. The main character was cardboard cutout, nothing happened, the story was stupid, the combat was really basic, and everything was just like, okay, and I was just sitting there like, how much time has passed? How much longer do I have to play this? So, Silicon Knights, though, has made Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, which is considered one of the best horror games ever made, and right now it looks like they're going to have to pay $4.45 million in damages to Epic.
Oh, that's going to kill them. Yeah, it's going to put them right out of business.
Yeah, so Too Human actually started on the N64, I believe, in development, and it transferred then to the GameCube and then finally to the 360, where people kind of said, yeah, this is it. So, but unfortunately, the game deserved it because it wasn't good. It just wasn't a good game, and that's, you want to see a company do well, but when they're making something this bleh, it kind of...
It's very competitive now. It really kills me to see a company like Raven Software, who just are. I mean, it's the same thing. Another great company. It's on the ropes, and their games. The last few games weren't bad. I was a big fan of Wolfenstein and I guess Singularity, but it's a shame. It's so competitive now. Everything is compared to these AAA titles, and if the game falls just a few marks short, that's all it takes. Or sales plummet, or there's a horrendous marketing. Like they had on Singularity, had virtually no PR at all, and the game virtually died on the vine right out of the gate. So it's sad. I hate to see a company go under.
Yeah.
It's really tragic.
So do I. And Raven Software, I haven't heard about that. Aren't they owned by Activision now, or are they just working with them?
Yeah, they were doing a little bit of work on the maps for, I think, Modern Warfare 3 or something. But I've actually followed them on Twitter, Facebook. I've been in touch with them with a couple emails, and I think they're on the ropes. I don't think they're really doing too well. It's sad. I think they're on their way out.
That's a shame. Well, Silicon Knights, their former glory, I'd like to see them get back to it, but Too Human, God, it was everything I don't like about video games kind of in one, just in terms of being boring, even though everything worked. And Epic is a company I respect them. So even though obviously they could be doing something with, malicious intent, I don't believe they are. I think there must have been something going on. Silicon must have really screwed up. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on this, like we will for a lot of things. But Silicon Knights, I don't think they're going to be around much longer. All right.
Good.
Now, we're going to be moving on to a very broad topic today for our feature. And that are our early picks for Game of the Year and some of our favorite games so far. Now, Dean, why don't you start off with some of your favorite games and then your favorite game so far in Game of the Year. I'm going to get a drink while you're talking.
You're talking about my favorite games of 2012?
Correct, yes. Yeah, of 2012.
Oh, okay. A pretty good array of games. I think that early on, if it was out, that was I think Sniper Elite V2, was that a 2011 or 12 game?
I think it was earlier this year.
Yeah, that one really surprised me. I didn't know what to expect. That's one of my top 3 favorite games of the year because I personally like the fact that it was a return to World War II. And although it's some people would consider it just another stale third-person shooter, it had a couple nice gimmicks and appealing dynamics in it that I really like, with a lot of stealth. And it was kind of a thinking man's game for a World War II shooter. So anyway, that was one. Max Payne 3 for me is fan. In fact, I'm on the last level, and I started raging and just got furious and shut the damn thing off. I said, "Screw this game." And then I had a guy at GameStop, an old Vietnam vet in there, who just finished. He said, "Son, stick with it. You'll beat it. You'll love it when you beat it." So it's one of those ones I just got to put it back in and play it. But again, I put everything on a basic default setting. And so when I don't win, and my friends say, "Oh, put it on easy; it'll be much, much better," but I refuse to do it. I can't do it. But so I want to finish that one. That one's one of my favorites. I think that the production design, the music, the story is fantastic. It's just a very long game. It almost grates on you near the end. You've killed so many tens of thousands of people. It kind of wears on you.
Yeah.
But that was a great game. Sleeping Dogs surprised me. I wouldn't say it's a game of the year material, but very good for an open world game. I would highly consider that, especially if the price drops on it. Forza Horizon, and this is a bold statement. If I had to pick 3 games since 1976, and I could only have the 3 games for life, one would have to be a driving game. Forza Horizon is at least a 9.5 for me. It's the finest driving experience I've ever had. Very user-friendly, extremely versatile, massive customization. Just the freedom of being on the open road and feeling like you're really driving a car at twilight or nighttime with the sun going down and coming up on the open road with slower traffic. You can go any way you want. It's unbelievable. So I would rate that as one of my top 3 favorite games of all time, if you can believe it. So very good game. Most Wanted's not bad, but I have some frustrations with it. What else? Black Ops 2 is looking really good. I'm very intrigued, but I haven't played it yet. God, what else? I've played a bunch of great games this year. I've really probably forgotten a few of them, but I think Game of the Year material, probably Halo 4. There's a good chance that it could get it. Dishonored, I'm still anxious to spend a quality week with that when I have it. So I think my verdict is out at the moment on that until I play it, but it looks very good.
Yeah,
and I'm real pleased with everyone's reactions on it. So I would say so far that's probably my pick. I'd say Max Payne 3, Sniper Elite V2, and Forza Horizon would probably be my favorite games of the year, and a couple of close seconds.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about mine. I have a bunch of favorites because this has been a big year over the course of it. Obviously, there's been some controversy, but I love Mass Effect 3, so that's going to be up there. I put like 30 hours into that game. Ghost Recon Future Soldier, the only game I've ever gone to a midnight release for up to this point. I like that quite a bit. There are some server problems, mostly because it was peer-to-peer instead of the more traditional now dedicated servers. But campaign was a lot of fun, multiplayer, unique, and it looks like they're setting it up for a good extension of the franchise.
It looks very good. I'll have to break down and get that, especially now the price is dropped on it.
You'll like it. And actually that game has a companion app, the Ghost Recon Network, which is pretty cool. Darksiders 2 released the same day as Sleeping Dogs. I actually bought after seeing some reviews for it. I didn't expect it to be anything special. Loved it. Very game friendly. Really enjoyed that. Let's see what else. Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS. I love that game. It was incredibly long, but I played it in like 2 days because I just sat there for hours playing it. Controls do take some getting used to, but once you get into it, gameplay is very, very well, especially the flying sections. Story is hilarious. Voice acting really well done, and even the online multiplayer is a lot of fun. And it comes with some AR cards, so you can have little battles go out on your desk, which is pretty cool. What else has come out recently? Oh, Assassin's Creed 3. I do enjoy it quite a bit. I'm not amazed by it. It's pretty much what I expected it to be. And what else? So obviously,
of course, Halo 4.
Oh yeah, Dishonored. Yeah, Dishonored. I forgot to mention actually is an incredible game. But Halo 4, it has to win. I have to be very surprised. I was talking to Jen, who I used to work with, and she said her picks right now would be either Far Cry 3, which she got early access to.
I think that could be a Game of the Year contender. I'm beginning to lean towards that. Although, again, you haven't played it, I haven't played it. But I'm salivating over that one. I cannot wait to get my meat hooks on that.
I'm excited for it. I'm a little more cautious only because I saw some stuff. Multiple people during E3 said that the co-op mode in it was really bad. They said it just didn't work really well. But they said
that's a shame.
It was made by a different development studio. But I'm thinking that may be why it was delayed. Because if you remember, that game was actually supposed to come out in September, and now it got pushed back. Yep. So I'm thinking that's probably what that was. But Halo 4. Anyone who I feel is disappointed with this, maybe they have some things they didn't like, but this game is amazing.
It looks it. I'm going to have to break down and get it. What's interesting is that I think that Microsoft has 2 exclusives that could be Game of the Year. I think Forza 4 for at least the driving games, and I think Halo 4 look very good for Game of the Year.
You mean Horizon?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Forza Horizon.
Well, it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like a driving game, it's very hard to win in that genre, but with the quality, I'm sure, at least especially for driving fans, it might be their favorite.
It's got so many 9.5s and just extremely high ratings, and I have many gaming friends that do reviews that have played it and say the same thing I do. It's their favorite driving game, and they've played them all.
Yeah, so we'll see. Usually that genre, it's really hard to win Game of the Year.
As far as a Game of the Year, I don't think it'll make it either. I'm just thinking, I think that Microsoft has done very well with 2 exclusives that have got such high ratings.
They have.
I should probably rephrase it, I guess.
So Halo 4, it blew my mind. It is so good. I beat it earlier than I thought I was going to because I just played it so much. I started it, I played one level on Tuesday. I had a bunch of stuff going on this week. Played it a little more Wednesday, and then over the last 3 days, I've just played it kind of straight.
What is it, like 6 to 8 hours, or how long is it?
Well, I played it on easy the first time, which I'm kind of ashamed of, but it's also the most difficult Halo ever, so I'm not all that ashamed. But yeah, took me about 7, I think, but on normal
that's
they say...
Good. I think that's a good length for a game.
On normal, I think it'll take about 8 to 10. Story is very, very well done. Doesn't feel like they just kind of wanted to string this out for a sequel. It sets itself up for more sequels. You have a lot more questions, and you realize that there was a lot of stuff you didn't know the answer to that made Halo 4 not only acceptable, but necessary. So it's a tremendous, tremendous game. Like I said, the villain you'll encounter is the best villain in any Halo game, bar none. And Dean, if you've played Halo 1, right? That's the only one you played?
No, I only played Halo 2.
Oh, Halo 2, okay.
On the regular Xbox, yeah.
Yeah. If I were you, I'd go back and I'd play all of them, but Halo Reach you can probably skip because it just gives some insight into stuff that's happening more in Halo 1 and not so much in Halo 4. But the game is incredible. I'm always kind of irked in the off years for Microsoft because they have so few exclusives, and then I play Halo and I'm like, okay, you still have this.
In fact, wasn't there it's almost like an HD remake of the first one that you can get?
Yes, I reviewed that. It's made by 343 actually. Now, the graphics in that game, you can tell they were reworking kind of the engine that they used for Halo 1 as opposed to using the Halo Reach engine or this Halo 4 engine because the game, it looks subpar, but it still looks a heck of a lot better than Halo 1.
I think I saw comparison shots. It wasn't in your review, but someone else's in it. For an older game that had an HD facelift, it actually wasn't bad. It looked good.
And the first Halo does not look bad at all, even though it was an Xbox launch title. Halo 1 still looks pretty good. A lot of Xbox games look like crap, but Halo 1 still looks decent. And Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, you'll notice, in comparison to other stuff getting released during the same time period, stuff's really kind of animations are stiff during cutscenes, but very, very fun and makes it, all the reason to go back and play it. And it's only $40.
Oh, that sounds gret. I might have to pick that one up when I have time this winter.
Probably less actually now because it was $40 when it launched, so it's probably around $20 now. And it has some extra maps to play in Reach. I think you can just play. It uses the Reach engine for those maps, and I think you can play them on their own. But so yeah, 343 did a very, very good job. The lore,
from what I've seen, very, very good.
I don't mean to pick on Jen. I usually really agree with her on a lot of the game stuff, but she mentioned that she didn't really like the ending. And I understand why she didn't like it. I'm not going to, tell you why, because it'd be a huge spoiler. But the way this game wrapped up and then set the stage for Halo 5, I loved. There was so much more character development, and the voice acting was incredible. There were some really emotional scenes with Cortana, and then with the members of the UNSC Infinity.
Beautifully with these just fantastic, almost a LA Noire quality animations. Just very impressive.
Oh yeah, they might be even better, especially during during these cutscenes. So Halo 4, if you own an Xbox 360 and you have not bought this game, go right now. Don't even finish watching the episode.
In fact, I should just leave the podcast right now and get my Hemi truck and light the tires up.
Oh yeah, I can talk with myself. So yeah, Halo 4 is incredible. It is incredible. Now I'm someone Halo 3. I was actually a little bit disappointed with. Now part of that was just it was very samey with multiplayer. It didn't wow me that much, even though I really liked the ending to Halo 3, and the campaign was very good. Reach actually kind of reinvigorated me. But part of the reason with 3, me not liking it quite as much, was that I had bought the Legendary Edition, which was $150, and Call of Duty 4 took my attention away because that was, at the time, something so fresh and new.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So, see how long we've come in 5 years. But Halo 4, I love this game. I think Halo 1 is still my favorite game ever, but I'd have to put this probably up there in the top 5 at this point. So, yeah, as you can tell, I've just been gushing about Halo 4. Now, the other thing I have to mention, I don't think I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this on Facebook or not. I got to play the Wii U.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
There are demo units available in GameStops and other stores, I think. Now, some of these are only videos, but my GameStop had a demo unit available that had a ton of games. Now, my car was running outside, so I only had time to try out one, but I played Rayman Legends, and some of the features were kind of disabled for the sake of the demo, but the game played very well.
Oh, good. That's good news.
And there was absolutely no lag. The other thing, have you held a PS Vita before?
Yes.
Were you surprised by how light it was?
Yes. Frankly, I was. It's
the gamepad is just as surprisingly light as the PS Vita is.
Well, I think that's good. I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks great. Again, just for that zombie game, I think it's what's it called, Zombie U or something.
Yeah, Zombie U.
It looks very good, but apparently they've sold them out.
Yeah, they have.
First order.
I'm on a waiting list. Anyway. I have a pre-order of the regular edition, which I don't want because for $50 less, you get a ton less stuff, and I'm on a waiting list to get the deluxe set. But yeah, good price. Nintendo's selling it for a loss, and you can tell that they really put pride into their systems. Iwata, their CEO, just made a video where he's wearing these rubber gloves and he's unboxing it, lovingly taking out every part to show to the crowd. I really like the way they do stuff. So, yeah, the Wii U, it looked great. It got some attention, obviously, with all these other games.
The first time, frankly, since the Super NES that I've actually been tempted to break down and get a basic Nintendo product probably because of that zombie game alone.
Yeah.
But it's just as fascinating, the fact that you have this little tablet that correlates with what's going on the screen. I just think it's an interesting dynamic. It's different from the other move controls that I've seen with the PS3 and the 360. So
yeah, I think it'll be less gimmicky, definitely, than the Wii. At the same time, it is woefully underpowered, so they're going to have to work around that to get people to design for it while still not falling behind.
That's my only concern, but I think that I could probably even forgive that if it's interesting enough, if it brings something new to the table. Now, that is fascinating.
What happened with the Wii was you got all these third parties wanting to cash in when the system was announced and made these exclusive titles, and over time they went away and realized that the money was with the Xbox and the PS3 because the only games that were selling well on the Wii were Just Dance and these first party titles. With the Wii U, they have to find a way to avoid that and keep good third party exclusive Wii U games coming because no one is going to buy a multi-platform game for the Wii U once these new systems come out because there's no point.
I agree. No, I hear you there.
So yeah, I hear the new Madden that's coming for the Wii U, which was released for the Xbox and the PS3. had a 6-month development time, lots of features, including that big thing they kept pressing, the physics engine, gone. So don't buy that. But there are a lot of exclusive Wii U titles that look great. They look like they got the care and attention they deserve. And the system, obviously, it looks like it's going to be selling well, but Nintendo will still be losing money. They've been hemorrhaging money lately. It's depressing, but
It is sad. As a business person, it kills me to see all these companies losing. I know Sony has just done horrible. I really feel bad, and I hope to God nothing bad happens in their future as far as the gaming and this new PS4 that's coming out.
Oh yeah, and they really have been.
I mean,
been
nothing's
making some
coming
bad
out game-wise. I haven't seen a damn exclusive in it's been like a year or so, or since the last Uncharted. But.
Yeah, it's the shame. I mean, Liberation, the game we were talking about, was pretty much it. You're getting some versions of games that are on different platforms, and it looks like they're gonna have stuff coming, and they really want people to buy the console itself because they're launching this thing called the Cross-Buy program. A game that's going to be supporting it is this Smash Brothers clone. They have PS Move All-Star, All-Stars Battle Royale, and if you buy the PlayStation 3 version of it, the PS Vita version of it is free. So good for the consumer, but it shows how little faith Sony has in the Vita right now that they're giving it away, the games away if you're buying another copy.
I've seen that. It's sad.
So, yeah, it is really sad. Now, the last segment we're going to move on to is one we do every week, and that's just stuff we're playing. Now, simply Halo. That's me. How about you, Dean?
Oh, as far as games I'm in now?
Yeah.
I actually went in last night. I'm trying to rack up another 100 or so achievement points on Forza 4 after playing Forza Horizon. I kind of did everything in it. I've got every achievement but one, and then to, I think, continue on with the achievements for Forza Horizon. I'm going to have to go online and compete. I'm waiting to hear my friend in Arizona has it, but he's been so busy with Assassin's Creed 3 and Halo 4 that he's kind of blown me off on playing some as far as playing Horizon. But that game I've been playing a lot. I still need to finish the last 4 chapters of Spec Ops: The Line, which I'm very interested to sit down and see how the story wraps up. Now, next, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, the final Skyfall chapter comes out for 007 Legends, which is, again, it's a fairly pan game. It's got mixed reviews. Some people love it as Bond fans, some hate it. I just saw the Skyfall movie today.
Yeah, it came out today.
One of the best Bond movies in 20 years. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's really surprising. I was shocked. Blows away the other 2 Craig movies.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Very, very good.
I've heard that Casino Royale was great. I've heard people say they didn't care for Quantum of Solace that much, and then
I like Quantum of Solace better than Casino Royale.
Oh, really?
I know I'm probably one of the 12 people that feel that way. But.
Okay. And then it seems to be universal acclaim for Skyfall. I hope to see it soon. My movie theater, because I'm on a college campus, they show just hipster movies, so...
God, you got to see it. If you got to rob a liquor store, steal a car, whatever it takes, go see it. It's very. My wife usually doesn't care for a lot of the bigger action movies. She was enthralled with it as well. She actually loves this new Bond, as far as Daniel Craig, and this new one is incredible. I really was completely blown away. I rarely go to the movies, and
well, everyone likes Bond. Women want to be with him, and men want to be him. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, I'm very, very excited about the holiday season. Just stay tuned to our show, to our channel. We're going to be showing off a bunch of stuff.
Don't forget that.
Black Ops 2 is coming out next week. So that's our show for this week, guys. My name is Gabe Gurwin. I'm with Dean Thompson. You're watching Gaming Angel Gabriel, and this is What We Saw.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your games.